What's happening, everybody? It's Shawn with reactions to the classics, and today we got the debut solo album of Stephen Stills, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Joseph. Thank you, Joseph. Always appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons that make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. Got some CSN up, got some CSNY up, got a ton of Neil Young up. Don't have any solo Stephen Stills stuff up. So looking forward to this one. Joseph had some words to share on this. He said, so first time reactions are interesting, aren't they? See, you're getting in my shoes a little bit. I say that because I'm presenting an album that on first listen, I really didn't know what to make of. By this point, early 90s, when I was still preteens, I was already a big CSNY fan and had seen Uncle Neil live a year or two before. But Stills was already emerging as my favorite member of the Holy Quartet. So when I spotted a pristine vinyl copy of this for the princely sum of $1 in New Zealand, I was all over it. But that cover was still sitting serenely in the snow, playing an acoustic, really set up a false sense of security. I was expecting an album full of the softer CSN stuff, or indeed Stills' solo contribution to Deja Vu, 4+20. If you recall, I do, because I did that. After the familiar Love the One You're With, Do for the Others was in line with my expectations, and then what? Gospel, hard rock, jazz, blues, he covers them all, and I wasn't quite ready for the sheer breadth of the whole thing. So my first listen was a challenge, Joseph says, but plays 2 and 3 helped me get it, and shortly thereafter became and remains a favorite. And Controversy Time, perhaps the finest solo album from anyone in the CSNY camp. Now, let's slow down a little bit, Joseph. I don't want the youngster that you are to get too out of control here. It was mostly well received at the time. There's still a lot of love for it critically into the early 2000s, but to me it seems then it's in danger of being forgotten. So here's a little background I've got on him. Stephen Stills' debut solo album, released on Atlantic Records in 1970. It's one of 4 high-profile albums, all charting within the top 15, released by each member of CSNY in the wake of their 1970 chart-topping album, Deja Vu, along with After the Gold Rush from Neil, If I Can Only Remember My Name by David Crosby, and Songs for Beginners by Graham Nash. It was primarily recorded between CSNY tours in London and Los Angeles. The album features many themes common to 1960s countercultural beliefs, with many songs directly inspired by Stills' ongoing and previous relationship with girlfriends and members of CSNY. The album was an immediate commercial success in both the UK and the US. In addition to Crosby and Nash, the album features an array of well-known guest musicians, including John Sebastian, Cass Elliot, and Rita Coolidge, who contribute vocals. Ringo does drums on 2 tracks under the pseudonym Richie, which he also used for his contribution to the London Sessions album by American bluesman Howlin' Wolf, recorded in England the same year. Stills' album is the only album to which both Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix supplied guitar work. According to Stills, he, quote, bumped into Eric one evening and he came by and the night degenerated into an endless jam of the Champs Tequila. Then we did the album track Go Back Home in the studio. His solo was one take and he got a fabulous sound. Hendrix added guitar to Old Times, Good Times at Island Studios in March of 1970. Stills recalled in 1991, he said, Hendrix and I cut a bunch of stuff together. This is one of the few things that surfaced. He was a very dear friend of mine. We were lonely in London together and hung out a lot. I left England suddenly, and years later I learned from Mitch Mitchell that Jimmy had been looking for me everywhere. Wanted me to join the experience as the bass player, which would have been my greatest dream in life. It had something to do with the manager deciding it was a wrong career move and said, we don't know where he is. Wow. I learned to play lead guitar from Jimmy. He showed me the scales and said things like, you begin by thinking about the chord position and base your improvisations on that. Or make up some little remark like F sharp is really cool, and we develop a jam around that. We'd make up songs, play the blues, he'd improvise until the inspiration began to ebb. Then he'd look at me and say, you drive. You had to hear that cat play acoustic guitar. We once jammed for about 5 days, one long marathon session in my beach house in Malibu. The sheriff's deputy overheard our guitar playing. When he found out it was us, he asked permission to park his police car directly outside the house so he could listen in while we fielded radio calls. Told us not to worry about a thing. He'd be looking out for us. That's freaking awesome right there. The front cover photo, which Joseph mentioned, was taken outside Stills' cabin in Colorado. The pink giraffe on the cover is thought to be a secret message to one of his girlfriends, specifically Rita Coolidge, who had just left him for Graham Nash, which is one of the contributing factors for the demise of CSNY. Yeah, it oftentimes doesn't work out when your girl leaves you for a bandmate, and it happens all the time. Stones. Originally, this was the highest selling album out of those 4 high-profile albums released by each member of CSNY, but eventually Uncle Neil overtook it with After the Gold Rush. Mick Jagger was quoted in NME 1970 saying, quote, "He's been listening to and really liked Stills' new album, finding it really funky. Such was Stephen Stills' stature that the two biggest releases for Christmas 1970 was this debut album and George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. Harrison sent Stills a telegram complimenting on the album." That's how we did it back in the day, boys and girls. All right, we're going to jump into this. Just a reminder, the music won't be in here, but it will be in a Vimeo link down below. All tracks were written by Stills. We're going to go to the first track, Love the One You're With. Lead single became his biggest hit single, peaking at 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1971. David Crosby and Graham Nash, of course members of CSNY, provide background vocals on the song. Also covered by a number of artists, notably the Isley Brothers, the Meters, Bucks Fizz, and Luther Vandross. That's quite a depth of people. Stills wrote the song to be inspired by the tagline, "If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with," which is a frequent remark by musician Billy Preston. Stills explained in 1991, "This song has been very good to me. The title came from a party with Billy Preston. I asked him if I could pinch this line he had, and he said, sure. So I took the phrase and wrote the song around it. It's a good time song, just a bit of fun. My favorite part is the steel drums. I played them before a little bit, but I just kept diddling around till I found the right notes." A live version of this appears on the CSNY album, Four-Way Street. You got Steven here on lead guitar, vocals, organ, steel drum, and percussion. Calvin Fuzzy Samuels on bass, Jeff Whitaker on congas, and Rita Coolidge, Priscilla Jones, John Sebastian, and Crosby and Nash on background vocals. Now, kind of backing up what Joseph said, that he's afraid this album's just kind of faded away. This isn't even available on Spotify in the US. So I'm using YouTube, so you're not going to see the link below for the Spotify or see the bar, but we're just using YouTube. The album is up on there. Thanks again, Joseph. Love the One You're With. That is exactly what I would have expected from a Stephen Stills song. So I know I'm going to be surprised after this, as Joseph alluded to, but you know, it just has the message, and I think a lot of people in life have been through this. They can't have the one they want, so they're going to have to like deal with that eventually, and they're going to have to move on with their lives. So they got to find someone who's more into them, and you got to love them, right? If you're down and confused, you don't remember who you're talking to, concentration slipped away because your baby is so far away because you can't be with her, right? Well, there's a rose in a fisted glove, and the eagle flies with the dove. And if you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. And I thought the chorus and all the backing vocals that I ran down, just it added something to it that was great. Don't be angry, don't be sad, don't sit crying over good times you had. There's a girl right next to you and she's just waiting for something to do. So move on, boys and girls. If the one that you love is not going to have you, maybe you deserve better and maybe you should move on. So I do like the song and I like the message. Now we move on to Do for the Others, written for David Crosby about the death of his girlfriend Christine Hinton. Guitars, percussion, bass, and vocals, all by Mr. Stills. Do for the Others. You know, understanding what the song's about, it takes on much more gravity than if you were just listening to it and didn't have any idea. That's why sometimes the background of songs are quite important. Really heavy, great acoustic work there. I really did enjoy it. I don't know who's doing the harmonizing with him on here. It didn't have that. Round, round, up and down, all on the lonely town. See him sinking low, doesn't see the joy there is to know. And he cries from the memory and he lies singing harmony. She is gone, there is tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. It is done. So now he must borrow the life of his brothers and living in sorrow must do for the others. So yeah, just a powerful song, man. Really well done. And I wonder what David thought of Stephen writing this song for him. I mean, that's kind of a great thing, I would think, like a really touching thing. And we'll go on to Church, in parentheses, Part of Something. Got Fuzzy Samuels on bass again. Conrad Isidore on drums. Piano, organ, Mr. Stills. And then the chorus, nobody, quote, super famous. Judith Powell, Larry Steele, Liza Strike, and Tony Wilson. Church, parentheses, Part of Someone, which Part of Someone's really what this is about, right? The word church doesn't appear in here. It's gospel tinged, obviously, if you just listen to it with me along on Vimeo. Just a church choir in that chorus. And I mean, he's really just saying he's got love for this girl, right? You see, it's my thing to be part of someone as a true friend is part of me. You know, there's so much, oh, little girl, we've got to tell each other about the whole world and most especially one another. Oh, yeah, all right. And you know why. And it's hard. Yes, it is. It's hard. Yes, it is. And I wonder, could it be a dream? Yes, to that chorus in there. And yeah, he just kind of goes on and says he wants to be part of her. I just thought it was really good, right? So I just thought, I love the gospel tinge part of it, you know, but it's like she is his church, right? If she'll have him. So We're 3 of the 10 songs in. So far, I get it. I feel pressure, right? Joseph said it took him 2 or 3 times to get it. I want to see if I can exceed that and get it on the first time. But we're 3 songs in. Now we're going to go. It's a 4-song, Old Times, Good Times. Jeff Whitaker on congas. Got Conrad on drums. Jimi Hendrix on lead guitar. Bass is fuzzy. Organ and vocals still, so we got our Hendrix siding. Let's do it. Old Times, Good Times. Look, it's really just a jam session, right? I mean, the words in there, I mean, it's biographical. I don't know, it's autobiographical. It's biographical with someone talking about being down in the bayou. And then when he was 12, he learned how to play the guitar, went to New Orleans, and then New York was so damn cold, so he went to California. Rock and roll dream. Got too high, and we blew our whole scene, but we had a good time. That Old Times, Good Times. It's a jam session. The Hendrix guitar is fantastic. Steven is really good on the organ. I could have used about maybe 50% less organ and let that guitar go in there, but it's a jam session, and I realized they're playing off each other, so I enjoyed that too. Definitely different than anything we've heard so far on this album. Now up to the final track on side 1, Go Back Home. Fuzzy on bass, drums Dallas Taylor and John Barbata, guitar, keyboards, and vocals Steven, lead guitar Eric Clapton. So here we go. And then we got Cass Elliot, Claudia Lanier, Crosby, Sebastian, Priscilla Jones, and Rita Coolidge on backing vocals. Man, you just had everybody popping in on this album. Go Back Home. So first, the subject matter of the song is basically just he was living with this girl, but he was himself. But I was by myself. I was someone else. So she really wasn't good for him yet. Now he wants her to come home with him, and I'll make you see. Yes, I'm going to set you free. When I woke up this morning, I found I was alone. Yeah, till I called your number. They told me there's no one home again. Baby, what does it mean? Is it like it seems? So it is a blues song, right? Clapton's guitar from the very jump, sets that bluesy tone, which you'd expect with Eric, especially at this time of Eric's music career. And it was basically a Clapton showcase, right? So I liked it fine. I mean, it's not going to end up on my favorites list, but now that we're done with side 1 or side A, whatever you want to call it, from back in the day, I can definitely see why younger Joseph got this and then was shocked as the album started to play out, right? Because definitely a difference of styles as we go through this thing. We're going to start off side 2 with the second single, Sit Yourself Down. Went to 37 in the US, 24 in Canada, inspired by his new relationship with Rita Coolidge, who remember was on the last track, who also provided backup vocals on this song. 5 other backing vocals were used on the bridge and refrain, including Nash, Crosby, Sebastian, and Cass Elliot. The refrain was propelled by Stills' piano playing. The lyrics discuss aging, maturing, and settling down. They capture Stills' conflict between wanting to push himself harder and wanting to find peace. A lot of us go through that at different times. Sit Yourself Down. Actually, the highlight on that was the piano for me and Stills' vocal performance. I didn't really... It was fine, right? Kind of just sounds like what you would think a generic single from 1970 would sound like. It's not anything, bad, but when I get restless, what can I do? When I need someone, I think about you. I got to move on, not fade away. I'm only just growing a little each day. I got to quit this running around, never get rid of these blues. I got to find somebody to love. Slow me down, look out now, and then sit down, take a look around. When I get older, mellow down, get myself settled on a patch of ground. Taking it easy, live every day. Me and the Raven, we make our way. So I like the message of it. I think it's very introspective. I don't know. I just didn't necessarily care for the arrangement so much. But I mean, it's a fine song. I don't dislike it. Now we move on to To a Flame. Arranged by Arif Martin and Stills. Conductor Arif. Drums are just Richie. And guitar, piano, and vocals are Stills. So this arranged and conductor. I wonder if we're going to go a different route here. To a Flame. A sad song, kind of filled with melancholy, and I think that's why the strings and the arrangement work on this. I don't know what I think of this song. Maybe I really like it. Maybe I don't like it at all. How about that for being decisive? I don't know. And he's basically just talking about how reach out, love this person, but know that it's going to end badly. So there's your happy message for the day, boys and girls. Drawn to a flame, she is far away, out of reach. Will she burn her wings? I can only watch, out of touch, out of mind. I wish I could tell if she's all right, feeling fine. Lucky for me, I'm not a jealous man. Out of hand, out of mind. So he's already lost her at the start of the song. When this party's over, I will lose her to another. So I guess he has, but he's seeing it now. Get yourself high on someone and then wave goodbye. Don't you cry. Go ahead, break your heart, but don't fall apart. It's like saying goodbye to Paris for the first time. So Steven's been in enough relationships by this point that he knows that this one's going to end too. So I guess if you go in there with that mindset, it will end. It's kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. But, you know, like I said, the arrangement, it worked for me. I don't know. Now we're going to the eighth song, Black Queen. In the notes, it said that this was provided by Jose Cuervo Black because supposedly he was drunk as a skunk. That's what Joseph had to say, and that's what's on the liner notes. So let's see what we think of Black Queen if Stephen can pull off a drunk performance if he was indeed drunk. Well, Black Queen, this is the first one I'm going to have to bring a little bit of heat on, right? I was just glad when that was over with, and it happened to be 5 minutes and 26 seconds, the second longest on this album. I was just going to go with the fact that Stephen maybe was drunk on Cuervo, just having a jam session, which I think is cool. Probably sounds great in concert because the guitar work is really good. But the song itself, probably could have left it off the album, but maybe they wanted that nice, even 10 songs on here. So I'm not going to break down the lyrics because they're really nonsensical, and that's cool because it's just a jam session. So let's move on to the ninth song, Cherokee, Dallas Taylor on drums, flute, alto sax, and flute and alto solos from Sidney George. Lead guitar, bass this time, Stills, and the organ, Booker T. Jones. Cherokee, don't know what I think of that one either. In my short time, I've loved of Shawn. You know, it's just about this girl who he wants, basically. It's not very long lyrical-wise. Southern girl, come on, you and me, babe, gotta move on. The secret she keeps, like her soul so deep. Nothing around here get to me like the lady from Tennessee. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's okay. Now we're going to move on to the final track, We Are Not Helpless. This one was wrongly assumed by many critics to be a response to Neil Young's song Helpless from the Deja Vu album. Drums, we got Richie, which I forgot earlier. I'm like, Richie on drums, who's that? Duh, it's Ringo. I talked about that at the beginning. Guitar, keyboards, bass, Stills. Then we got Cyrus Faryar and Henry Diltz are some of the voices. And then Booker T. Jones, Cass Elliot, Claudia Lanier, Crosby, Nash, Sebastian, Priscilla Jones, Rita Coolidge, Shirley Matthews are all in on the chorus. So it sounds like we're going to have a party here on We Are Not Helpless. We Are Not Helpless, the album closer. Excellent song, anthemic. Lyrics every bit as true in 2022 when I filmed this as they were in 1970. We are not helpless, we are men. What lies between us, it can be set aside and ended. Every day we learn more how to hate. We shut the door and then we tell ourselves we can't relate. Only to the ones who are the same. Yet even they are different, and ever so they shall remain. All are strangers, all are friends, all are brothers. This message is fantastic, and unfortunately, in the United States where I live, this is every bit the problem it was then. Maybe the outward systemic racism and sexism isn't there, but it's there, right? And it's become more and more emboldened over the last few years after it sort of at least faded away into people hiding it a little bit and talking about how the children are going to have to kind of answer to the children a little bit. So, yeah, man, what a good track to end this thing on. Kind of flipped me a little bit on the album. Not that I disliked it, but we had a little run there where I wasn't sure what I thought of things. So that's going to bring me to my favorite tracks. First, we'll go with Joseph's favorite tracks. He says, Do for the Others, and the two side closers, Go Back Home and We Are Not Helpless. Honorable mention for me, got to go Old Times, Good Times, the Hendrix on there. Stephen going all in on the organ. My favorites, Love the One You're With, Do for the Others, Church. I thought that song was fantastic. And the closer, We Are Not Helpless. So now we come to my overall score, and that's what I get for bragging after 3 tracks, that I kind of get it. It took Joseph 2 or 3 listens to get it. I was getting it on the first listen, and then I wasn't, right? So the second side was the one for me besides the closer. It was a little, it's okay. A few of the tracks didn't know what I thought of. So I think on first listen, maybe around a 7.5. I still liked, obviously Stills was an incredibly talented musician. He's playing different instruments, doing different things. I love the kind of group efforts here of all these different artists coming in. So I did like all of that. I did like the album, 10 tracks, 39 minutes, perfect length. So definitely liked it. I can see where repeated listens is going to reward you on this one. So thank you, Joseph, for bringing this one and everything that you bring. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Heck, even if you didn't, give it a thumbs up for me. Hit the subscribe button. And until next time, guys, I will see you.